Well, good evening, everyone. How is everybody today? Today is Monday, the 23rd of November. It's the Thanksgiving week edition of the Check Drop. 24 weeks in, and time flies. Here we go. Episode 24. We're going to jump right into it. Really great guy here. You're going to love it, and you're going to love him. So today's guest is a former teacher turned stand-up comedian who has appeared on Access TV, Gotham Live, as well as TBS's Conan O'Brien. And his clean comedy special on Dry Bar Comedy is out. Please welcome to the Check Drop, Mr. Orlando Baxter.
Hey, what's going on? Hey,
Orlando.
There, Chuck. What's going on, brother?
Just living the dream, man.
24 weeks in, man. I made it, brother. I made it. I'm in the top 25. I can feel it now. I feel good.
Yeah, it's funny now. Like, I didn't think about, like, you know, that going into this. Now I have comedians going, really? You haven't had me on yet? I'm like, I mean, there's so many great comedians, and you know, I try to diversify, and it's funny, like, you do this long, and now I start getting like people like kind of heckling me with like comments and stuff, and like, hey, I haven't seen a black female on, I haven't seen this, and like, you need to diversify. I was like, man, you guys are picky. So
the organizations are on you right now, man. They're watching you, man.
I know. I didn't think I needed to go start checking off that list. Like, all right, well, I need to get this. Like I'm a casting producer, like that I have to check off the affirmative action of who's my guest of my free podcast.
Yeah. That's three white guys, Chuck. Come on now.
People getting awfully picky. Like, man, you had Andrew Slater on last week. He's awfully white.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, welcome. I'm glad you're with me, man. So yeah. So how are you doing through all this?
I'm doing fairly well. I'm just trying to stay busy, and that's what I've been doing. Staying busy, doing a lot of like virtual stuff, and I actually was working on a small independent movie, so that's occupied the majority of my time. But we finished wrapping. I just finished wrapping, like doing the last audio stuff I had to do. So that's been cool.
Nice.
Really.
Can you talk about that project at all, or is it still kind of hush hush?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a small independent movie. I would say there's a small independent movie called The Salesman. Yeah, it's about salesmen, and I play a salesman.
Are there a lot of other comedians?
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of other comedians, a lot of them from the Boston and New York area. But it's comedy. It's pretty funny, and I was just happy to be doing something during this time, and it was a little bit weird with the pandemic and trying to figure out how you meet up and shoot a scene when it involves 10 other people or a few other people.
Right.
So, but they took great precautions in terms of like everybody's safety and kind of shot it in a way where I felt comfortable with. And so it's been a great learning experience for me.
Gotcha. Now, my question is, did this start taping before the COVID hit, or is this, hey, we're gonna shoot a movie during the COVID?
It was literally during the COVID. Like, so
interesting.
Yeah. In terms of writing the movie out, in terms of casting, in terms of when we started shooting. So that literally probably started a week to 2 weeks after COVID.
Okay. Now, did you have anybody that was like slated, or I mean, any hesitation for people that wanted to, to be a part of it, but then says, no, I just can't during this time? Did you have any of that pushback from anyone?
Well, since I wasn't one of the people like casting people or directing or anything like that. It's, I just am involved as an actor. But yeah. So I'm pretty sure they had some people that pushed back, but we started shooting around July, which is probably around the point where people are kind of like antsy, like when you're not doing anything else and you don't foresee yourself doing much else in the future as well. You're just like, yeah, I'll take it, right? So we probably got more people that wanted to participate in than probably normal. Like if people had a regular schedule, like if I have my regular schedule, I don't even think I'd be able to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I mean, like it's weird. This whole, I keep hearing people say new normal, but I don't want this to be the new normal. And I just posted I think it was a Vice News thing on Facebook I just posted. It was all about like trying to put the science back into live concerts and live events, and they're literally trying to do like tracing of what people are touching and such, and it's really interesting how now that we're trying to move forward, and I feel like they're doing a little bit too much work and without just saying like let's just wait until we get a vaccine, because I think that's the whole thing. But I don't know, it's the new normal blows.
Yeah, the new normal sucks. The one good thing you just said, though, is about the vaccine. I mean, like, as far as I know, like some of the reports with the 3 companies that have made vaccines so far, they seem pretty damn effective.
Yeah.
So at least that makes me feel good. Like, all right, maybe fall of 2021, go back to be regular. So that's what I'm hoping, at least.
Now, do you think in this current world of like, hey, the lack of patience with people that can't wait past like a 15-second video or like, hey, we need it now, and like, do you think that they'll try and slide it out before it's ready?
Do I think that? I don't think so. I think with the new administration going in, I think they'll be a lot more patient than what we currently have. Like if Trump won again, we'd probably get the vaccine.
Christmas.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Exactly. You get a vaccine. You get a vaccine.
The vaccine would have came with the next stimulus check that I would have been putting out. But I think they're gonna, I think it's wise just to wait it out. I mean, like, just do whatever you need to do to take the right steps to make it come out and be as safe as possible, because the backlash you'd receive if it goes wrong, you know what I mean?
Right.
So,
yeah, I feel like the checks and balances will hold up, but I guess when you start talking vaccine talk, I mean, I don't talk politics too much, but like it's usually the it's either you're gonna take it right away or like, nah, there's no way in hell I'm taking that first one out of the gate. I'm kind of leaning towards first one. I mean, because like you said, like I feel like it's going to be ready, and I don't think they would stick it out there. I mean, hopefully without doing all the proper tests and such. I mean, and like you said, 90 to 95%, is what all those companies are kind of claiming. I don't know what like the flu vaccine is. I feel like I've gotten the flu many times after getting the flu shot. So
yeah, I think the flu vaccine is like 40% effective. Like it's
really? It's not
even close to as high as what this vaccine they're claiming. Yeah.
Well, let's start the line right now. Let's get it going. Holy shit! I didn't know it was that low.
I'm pretty sure I heard, don't quote me on this. Okay. I am not scientific at all. I probably was listening to my 2-year-old niece could have told it to me, and I'm giving you the information. But yeah, I think it's pretty low in comparison to the vaccines that's coming out. And I think that's why there's all this surprise and shock as far as how effective it is and how quickly they were able to put it together. And I actually think it's like a new type of technology as well, in terms of like how they're not doing it, but how the medicine is going to be distributed in your body. Like it's something different than what the flu shot would do.
All right. Well, I'm ready. Let's go.
I'll be watching this. I'll be watching 35th episode like this. Let me see how Chuck is doing right now. Is he wobbling right now? Is he taking?
just it's like he's growing a third ear. Like what the hell?
Right? It's not that bad. It's just a third.
It's all right. I can still book comedy.
Yeah.
So I see that you're doing a lot of the live or the virtual Zoom shows and such. I saw the Orlando and Friends on your website and such that you're doing. How are those going?
Those are going great, man. To be honest with you, I think one of the pros of being in this situation, if there is a pro, is it kind of forces you to kind of either A, wait it out, B, just take whatever's out there, or C, try to create something for yourself, just like you're doing. I don't recall you being a podcaster before this whole thing, but now you can add that to your resume. And I think it's the same thing with me. Like I just kind of looked at a situation and say, hey, before COVID, I planned on doing these live shows with different school districts. So when the COVID happened, all that obviously got canceled. And then I kind of, started focusing on the movie stuff. But then after, I was like, what can I do after? You know what I mean? I don't want to just sit here and wait it out like everyone. So, I created this Orlando Baxter and Friends on Zoom and kind of contacted some of the people I knew and kind of set this whole other thing up that involved more school districts, and it kind of grew. But as of right now, it's going really well. So I can't complain. I'm surprised. I can't complain. You know what I mean? Like, I just thought it was going to be like a small thing, but it ended up turning out to be it's been worth my while. So yeah. I'm super happy about it.
How does that work as far as financial repercussions? Do they send you like tips, or is it like, are you contracting like a certain amount for that?
No. They'll tip out the comics. Which is cool. Like, I kind of did it to kind of, I have a small teacher fan base, just say, so it gives me an opportunity to do something that I kind of wanted to do personally anyway, and involve some of my friends that kind of looking to do stand-up as well, put the two things together, and just a short like appetizer show where people can watch it, not the general public, but just the teachers in certain school districts in a particular city. In fact, we'll be down in Charlotte soon, and in a couple of weeks, I think. But I think in like a couple of weeks or a month. But I did have to switch Charlotte. But yeah, man, like I'm excited, man. Like it's not like necessarily like a money making type of thing, but I do think it's something that the teachers are really appreciating, and they have a stressful job, as your wife's a teacher, right?
Right, she is, yeah. She decided this year to go back into the classroom.
Which is terrible timing.
I hate to even laugh at that, because I know if she was watching right now, she'd probably punch me in the face, because she decided probably around December, January, I think. She's like, I think I want to go back in the classroom. I miss it. She was a MTSS coach before, so she was kind of like coaching teachers and such. But oh my gosh, yeah, she she's already over it. I mean, there's a lot of wine in our house.
Yeah, no, and I understand it. Like, that was another part of it. It was like, when I taught for 12 years, and I know what that stress is like to be in the class. So I can't even imagine what it's like trying to teach at home. It's kind of similar to trying to do comedy from your home, because you're dealing with way more distractions than you would ever deal with in a club. You know what I mean? But the expectation is still there. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you still have to teach these children.
Yeah, you still got to teach. And you thought it was difficult to teach with kids like passing notes or playing on their phone. Now there's kids literally in their blanket with the covers over their head, and you got 30 kids in front of you, and you're trying to like deal with all that. Not to mention the parents walking around in the background with clothes, or the dog barking, or the kids' internet not working. Like, it has to be like one of the most stressful situations, because the expectation is still there. We still want you to teach 7 periods.
Right.
We want you to do all the correcting. Like, the only plus side is less teachers are getting sick because they're teaching remotely.
Right. Well, everyone's different though, because she's actually going in twice a week. It's weird. Wow. Yeah. Mondays and Wednesdays are kids with last names A through N, and then L through Z on the other days, which makes sense. Like, hey, we'll split them up down the middle, but it's lopsided. She's got like 5 and like 14, like on the off days. Yeah. Teaching is fun. So yeah, but she does also, but those days that the people are there live, she's also teaching the other kids virtually at the same time.
Yeah.
So no, that doesn't make sense.
That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, honestly, I can't imagine the level of stress. So like, that's why it kind of made more sense to me. Like, you know what? Just do this show for the teachers, like as just a way where a section of a city can just if their administration or the staff or teachers, they could just watch and just kind of just relax and enjoy their wine and try to catch some laughs without, don't think, laugh and just lay back. And that's what the show's been doing. And it's been doing really well.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, I'll have to talk with you off mic here, and we'll discuss some other. My brain's already going with some other business ideas for you, so I think we can help you out there. All right, well, let's segue into obviously you mentioned 12 years teaching. And remind me, what grade did you teach?
I started off in high school. Like I was at an alternative school for about a year. It was, I don't even count this as a year, but it was like a year where I was like a building sub. And then I went and I had 4 years as like a TV and production media teacher. But I was a history teacher the whole time.
Okay.
That's what I was certified in. I taught history then for 2 years. And then the rest of the time I was like in school suspension. Like to me, people are like, why would you do that? It was like, because, teaching's one of those weird professions where it doesn't matter what you teach, but it matters how many years you've been teaching. That's how the pay works. So you can literally be like, I'm a gym teacher that's working 15 years gets paid better than the best math teacher that's been teaching for 4 years.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess it does. I mean, I guess you choose your path, right? I mean, you're still in the school system, and yeah, it makes sense that aspect. I mean, you're still doing the time. So in theory, you being I guess a disciplinarian, is that what you would be in that scenario? But
which makes no sense. If you know me, you know my personality. No discipline whatsoever.
And you just sit in a room, and go, "Hey, shut up, Billy!" Like,
yeah, Billy, keep it quiet. Or tell me what you did again, so I can talk about it later on stage. But after that, be quiet. You know what I mean?
Right. So yet you're still getting the same pay as the teacher down the hall that's actually
that is actually like ready to use cocaine.
That has to go home and spend hours and hours of late night planning and lessons, and because that's what my wife does. I've gotten a free pass on Saturdays now to play golf in the morning, just because she's like, I got to work anyways. So sucks for her. I mean, what am I gonna do? I can't help her. I'm not smart at all. So now, did you start stand up before you got into it? So
I actually started while I was teaching. Like, it was something that I always wanted to try. I think I dabbled my foot in it when I was a college senior. My roommate signed me up for a just like this comedy contest. He signed him. He signed a group of friends up to do this contest because the prize was like $200, and I was one of the names. So we kind of forgot about it. We went to this party. We started drinking, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, we got this comedy contest." So a group of us went up there. We're all drunk. We're all on this list. And that was the first time I just got on the stage, and I kind of was drunk. I was drunk, so I just said whatever. But I ended up winning the whole thing.
Okay. Then, did you have to split it with everybody? Is that why you kind of did it in numbers, like safety in numbers?
You're
like, all right, if we get all of us to sign up and take all the spots, we can.
But when I won, I didn't want to split it with anybody. I was like, man, I got talent. You know what I mean? I got talent. So I think that once that happened, I kind of like forgot about it. Like but it was always like in the back of my head. And then maybe I started kind of late. I started maybe 6 years later.
Okay. So and how old were you at this time? Like when you first started?
28.
Okay.
I was 28 at the time. And once I tried it, it was like, oh, okay. Because I was always nervous. I just thought I was funny because I was drunk. Like I didn't associate it with the fact that I could possibly have talent. So whoever's listening, one key to doing stand-up is you need some kind of self-esteem. You know what I mean? I think my lack of self-esteem kept me from doing it for a long time because I was like, I was just lucky, you know what I mean, or whatever. You need some type of confidence in yourself. So anyways, once I started, it was like I didn't stop after. Like I did a couple open mics, they didn't go well. Then I did a real show. That went well. Well, now that when I say this, it wasn't a real show, but it was a open mic show that was more like showcase where not anybody could just go on, and there were actually people in there.
Okay.
Like, I didn't know the difference that you just go to an open mic and there's all comics there, and you're doing your stuff, and you're like, why are they not laughing? Why are they all looking at notebooks? You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't register to me that there were other comics as well, and they don't laugh. You know what I'm saying?
Like a room full of comedy bookers too, just with their arms crossed, just going, all right, make me laugh, buddy.
He's not funnier than me. You know what I mean? Or I'm just concentrating on what I got to do. But just started in the Boston scene and kind of like, it was just like a little hobby. I was a coach. I was a basketball coach as well. So I didn't really have time for stand-up. But then eventually, I started getting better at it, and I just started like dropping things that I was coaching. And I met Joe Coy maybe like 2 years later, and like he was like a big brother to me. Like, just really took an interest and allowed me to open up for him during like summer vacations and like when I would have breaks. And he would always encourage me to lead. To be honest with you, it was way too soon before he wanted me to leave. He was like, man, you're either going to be a teacher or you're going to be a comic. And I used to be like, bro, like, slow down. You know what I mean? Like,
and what level of Joe's career was he at that point? Was he still in the clubs?
Yeah, he 100% was still in the clubs.
Okay.
He was, I want to say he had finished his half an hour. No, he did his Comedy Central special already, the half an hour one. But his first Don't Make Me Angry special, he was about to shoot and it was about to come out. So it had to be around 2008, 2008, 2009. So he didn't blow up yet. He definitely was in the club, no entourage, no one selling his shirts. He would like literally get a standing O, run to the area where he was selling t-shirts and 6-7 shows a week. And that was Joe Coy, man. So shout out to my big bro, Joe Coy.
Yeah, isn't it funny how like people see people like him and others that like, or they explode and then they just go, oh, who is this guy? Like overnight sensation. Like, no,
man.
It's not how it works.
Yeah. Joe's a good, I want to say he's a good 25 to 30 years into stand-up. He started young. I think I believe 18 or 19 maybe, and he's been plugging away for good almost 30 years.
Have you talked to him? Not to segue into off of talking about you, but have you talked to somebody like him, like through all this, who his star was so huge, selling? I think I just saw that he did like New Year's Eve in like Philippines because he's huge there, obviously, and he sold out like all the shows there, like. Something like 20,000. Didn't he sell out like the Forum in LA?
He sold it out twice, bro.
Yeah, I mean that's bananas.
Joe is low key probably one of the biggest acts out right now. Like he got the key to the city in Honolulu because he sold more shows than any entertainer. Like he's really like, for me, like I feel bad. I lost some shows, but like. This dude was like literally as soon as tickets would go on sale, 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, he was selling out theaters. So his star was like, he was up there, man.
Yeah. I mean, so have you talked to him through this? Like, because I was just talking with another buddy of mine who's in the business, and he did more like he was on the production side, like sound and lights and such. And you think about how many people, not only the entertainers, but people like him and others that are rooted in this business, that they would follow around like the tours of like bands or comedians, and I mean, they're all just like screwed. We're all like just struggling to make it work. So. And my thought was like, how many like of these bands? He works with a lot of bands, so I was like, man, how many of these bands are going to be out of like not a band anymore in like a year or a year and a half?
It's tough. Like he's checked in with me maybe about twice during this whole thing. I mean, and basically just asking me if I needed anything. Like, yo, you good? Do you need anything? Whatever you need. Just reach out, and thank God, I've been in a good place, and although it's been a huge financial setback, obviously, but I've done well prior to that, you know. So, but you know, just the thought of him saying that, you know, he didn't have to do that. He doesn't have to do that. It's not like I'm looking for him all the time anymore, you know. But the fact that he was looking out for me, you know, it means a lot. So.
Yeah, that's awesome that he did that. And you know what? Even while we're on here talking about it, I encourage anybody that's watching or listening to it's just a reminder to maybe check in with a friend of yours or whatever that you know that's in the entertainment business, whether it's an entertainer or, you know, down the line, like in the production side or agent or whatever. Just check in. I mean, man, it's just always good to do that, especially during times like this. I mean, holy shit. I mean, this is why I'm talking. Like, this is my my therapy, like once a week, at least, to just shoot the shit and talk to comedians, and we're all, you know, kind of vent a little bit and, you know, spread the love a little bit. So, yeah, I don't know. Sorry to bring it down, but like that's, you know, such a, you know, a thing, because that's how we're all in the same boat. I mean, in some way, shape, or form. I mean, some people aren't affected by this. Some people, the only thing they're worried about is, oh shit, I couldn't get you know, toilet paper this week or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that's not affected by this. You know, it's the unfortunate thing of they can't go see a band or a comedy show, but yeah, I mean, they'll survive. So,
yeah. I think about like this. Obviously, I mean, anyone in the entertainment business is destroyed, but there's so many other people that have been affected, and they're doing even the jobs that they hated. Like, even those people are losing their shit. Like, because after a while, if you hate a job and you're like, oh, this break is fine, but then when you feel the financial impact of it, and there's
give me that shitty job back.
Yeah. Give me my shitty job back. And it's like the same, like if you're in, just imagine you're in like a certain industry, and like that whole industry, like say you work at JetBlue, and you know, you fucking lose your job or whatever.
Carnival Cruise Line.
Yeah, you can't go to American Airlines and think they're gonna hire. Like if you hated JetBlue, there's my chance to go to American Airlines. You can't even do that. You know what I mean? Because the industries are just being affected, and then the cruise ships the same way. Like people don't realize how big the cruise line industry is, like in terms of entertainers on the cruise ships, and just that shutdown is just like insane. Like, cause I was stuck on a cruise ship, like when this whole thing happened.
How long were you on there?
I was supposed to come home on March 13th, I believe. I didn't come home to the 18th. Like we were going back to Puerto Rico, which was the place where we got off at, and Puerto Rico was like me no speaking English. You know, they didn't let us like dock there. You know what I mean? They told us to go back. You know what I mean? We're like, what? So we got caught up. Actually, it was the 15th. So we got caught up on the 15th, and then we end up having to go to Florida. But it was so funny, like, because you told all these people, everybody's watching the news, and we see what's going on. Everything is shutting down, but everybody else is like, oh, well, I got work on Monday. You know what I mean? And they were like, all right, well, we can't get off here. And they was like, more partying. Like they went insane on the cruise ship. They were like partying like it was 1999, like the world was about to end. But I was terrified. You know, I just didn't want to be one of those cruise ships that got stuck out there for like 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, they I hear they're already offering free cruises for I guess when they start going back to work out the kinks and such. I don't know when that is, but I think they're taking names and numbers. Like
I think that's a smart move, because people in cruise ships, like some passengers, which I didn't realize until I started doing cruises, people are looking for opportunities on the cruise ship to get a free cruise, to get paid. You know what I mean? Like, so to say, yeah, let's test this out and charge no money so they can't sue us. Let them sign some paperwork and just figure it out. So it's a smart move on the cruise ships.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they got to, you know, preventative measures when they do go back, and new protocols and such. But yeah, talk about you know, guinea pigs. I'd rather take me first in line for that vaccine than 100th in line for the first free cruise ship.
Cruise ship, yeah, man.
Yeah,
it's insane.
What's like, so you did a lot of cruises before all this went down. Like, what's the percentage of work you were doing in the cruise market as far as your?
I was doing a good amount of cruise ships. I probably did at least 10 during the year. So at least, So at least 10.
All right. Yeah, that's a good amount for it, to have your legs kicked out from underneath you.
Oh yeah, no, definitely it was a very lucrative market. But like between colleges and cruise ships, I mean, I did a ton of colleges in 2019. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like so between the colleges and the cruise ships, and then I just kind of, the rest of the time I'm doing like the international stuff. I think I was supposed to do another festival this year, well, 2020, and I got kind of bagged. But the year before, I had did Edinburgh and I had did Johannesburg in South Africa. So, you know, this impacted me in many ways. This is the longest I've been in Worcester for the last couple of years in Massachusetts. So
Yeah, it's funny. I keep saying that too. Like I haven't flown since February, and I haven't gone this long in my adult life. I mean, I think the last time I went this long was in college. I mean, and that was quite a few years ago. So yeah, it's bananas. How I don't know. It's so you mentioned working overseas, like so that's a rarity for most comedians. Most comedians don't get the pleasure of kind of going over to Europe and such to work. Did you seek that out, or did just something just happen in your comedy career that you just kind of pivoted and somebody opened up a door that kind of pushed you in that?
The year that I left, decided to leave teaching, which was almost 6 years ago. I decided to apply to my first like international comedy festival. So I applied to the Montro Comedy Festival, which was in Switzerland.
Okay.
I got accepted. They chose 2 Americans. I was very lucky and blessed to be one of them.
So
And
3 submitted.
yeah. No,
Kidding.
Yeah. So I got in, and I just met these like amazing comics, and like got introduced to this scene where it was like, oh wow, there's like this whole other world of stand-up outside of the US. And that led me to just meeting people, as well as an interest in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is the largest art festival in the world, and many comics go there and perform. And that year I ended up doing Edinburgh, doing like a half an hour show, and just exposed to all these great international comics. And it's just been a part of my life ever since, because I performed there, and Eddie Izzard's promoter came to one of these small shows I was doing, and he ended up signing me. He had just started like his own like international agency, and then I ended up being the first American guy that he chose. And yeah, man, I've been with them ever since. And
Awesome.
yeah, I've done like Melbourne, and I've done a ton of festivals: Estonia, Latvia, Norway, Finland.
What's the best overseas? I mean, obviously, over in the North America, it's Montreal Comedy Festival. It's pretty big. I mean, what's the biggest next to that as far as comparison?
Oh, Edinburgh. Like, there's no question. Edinburgh is like, I met more people in Edinburgh, even from the US, like in terms of like agencies and just other individuals, like late night, like the guy that booked Conan goes to Edinburgh every year. Like
JP Buck.
Yeah, JP Buck, man. Like, so, a lot of people don't realize how much talent and I guess entertainment is out there, like agents and managers and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I've met a ton of people out there, man. Like, and
do you think some of those guys are just trying to go to have a little junket, to go over to Scotland?
I think so, but not really, because if you look at some of like the people that get booked on Conan, I mean, they're all there, and everyone. Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that are not even from the US. Like there was a guy named Stuart Goldsmith that just was on Conan maybe 6 months ago. He's from the UK.
Yeah, Daniel Slost is another one.
Daniel
I think
Slost is from Edinburgh. He's been on it 6 times. Nick Cody from Australia. Like, these are all guys that I know, and guys that I literally met in Edinburgh, and I've been there 3 times. And then I think I had met Hannibal. I had worked with Hannibal Buress maybe a couple months prior to me going to Switzerland, Montro. and he would talk about Edinburgh all the time. Like he had a documentary that actually came out maybe a few years later. But he was like, yo, it's a great place to. Where else are you gonna go and get up 25 times to work out an hour in a row? You know what I mean? Like, there's nowhere else. If you're not some huge celebrity, there's nowhere else you can do that at.
I also heard about that festival, though, that a lot of the shows are very trying. Like you mentioned, like there's numerous shows that you would do, but like that sometimes you're just performing to one or two people, like at like 2 a.m. So that's true.
It's like that's a little bit exaggerated, but there's a million people. Like this is a month-long festival. There's the population there, like I think it doubles, you know, so there's like 1 million to 1.5 million people walking around Edinburgh, and all they're doing, they're preparing for the festival. All they do is want to go watch shows, and there's shows that, you know, there's about 3,000 shows, I want to say, a day going on.
Jesus.
So
how do you choose like what to go see?
Exactly. So people will literally sit there and they'll have like, oh, I want to see, they'll see 5 shows a day. They'll be there for a week and they'll just see all these shows. So yeah, you know, sometimes you'll have shows where, depending on how big you are, how popular you are, how you market, you know, I've had shows where I had 10 people in, 12 people in, but then I've had shows with 30 people in. And the way I look at it too is it's like literally a comedy boot camp. You know what I mean? There's no opener. You know what I mean? Like you go up there and do 50 minutes. So when you come back to the US, you know, obviously I feel like I'm on home turf now. You know, like I'm doing comedy in front of another culture with a bunch of people from Europe around, and I'm learning to thrive in that situation. So coming back home and maybe doing a college where you're also expected to go out and do 50 minutes, it seems a lot easier because of you know, what you went through. It's like, you know, doing a workout with all these weights on you, and then you come back home, you can take the weights off.
Nice.
Just stronger.
Now, material wise, did you have to mix things up, you know, for the translation at all, or was it pretty seamless?
Of course, you have to keep that in mind. I mean, like, you know,
like, did you figure that out on the first night? Like, like you'd probably gone over your head, like, hey, that bit doesn't work. Like,
no, like lead up to it. Like, so I didn't just go to Edinburgh. I was like, here I am. Like, I actually went to London first, and I did some shows out in London to kind of like know what doesn't work and what works. Okay. But I think one of the beautiful things about it is it's just like when you travel around the country. If you're used to just being like, if you're in Boston, you're like, yo, this Red Sox joke murders. And then if you just stay in New England, it will murder every time. But if you go to Phoenix, they're like, I don't give a fuck about the Red Sox. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care. They don't get some of the references that you might, you know, and then the Green Monster, they're like, is he really talking about a monster? Like, they have no fucking idea. So
is he drunk right now? Monsters? Exactly. What is he talking about?
Exactly. So I think that when you travel like that, just nationally, you realize, oh, when you start creating, you keep that in mind that you're writing nationally. And I think because I've been overseas so much, you know, even when I write now, I consider that like globally, like, all right, can I do this in England? Can I do this in Switzerland?
Interesting.
If I do it in Norway, how do I have to adapt? You know what I mean?
So most comedians don't think or write that way, because you're one of the few comics I know that that travel overseas quite a bit to do that. So yeah, it's funny. A couple of things you mentioned in there. Hannibal Buress. The first time I saw him, he was at NACA Nationals in February, which was weird. That he just. I walked into my booth and he was looking at the wall and it's like Orlando. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, so I just had a flashback to that. So he's like, oh, you got to Orlando? I'm like, yeah, it's great. And it was funny because he goes, oh, Chuck, is like, we met. Like, and he said, like, he met me at like a comedy festival in Vegas, like years ago. And I meet a lot of comics like when they first come up and I don't always remember them all. So he goes, man, you're like, I met you way back when. I was like, well, was I nice to you? And he goes, you were absolutely nice. Like, all right, cool. Just want to make sure. And second, you mentioned JP Buck. Now, so did JP see you over in Scotland?
Yeah, so it was a weird situation. So Whitney Cummings, I used to open for Whitney Cummings as well as Joe Coy.
Okay.
So Whitney Cummings used to always harass me about, yo, how come you're not on TV? I'm like, I don't know. And then she's like, yo, give me a tape, give me a video. So I sent her a video, and she said, I don't even know who I'm sending it to. She was telling me something about, oh, I'll send it to the people over at NBC. I think I know someone there. But she really was talking about JP in at TBS, but she was saying NBC for whatever reason. So anyway, she sent it to him, and then 24 hours later, she sends me a text back that he watched it, and he said, who is this guy? We would love him on the show. So then me and JP start talking, and then maybe about 6-7 months, we're kind of like figuring. So I knew I was going to do the show. I just didn't know when. So we were kind of figuring out material wise, what would work, what wasn't. And then it just so happened I'm doing Edinburgh. Now I'm doing a completely different show with some of those jokes in it. And he sees me do my whole hour in front of a packed house. And I'm murdering the show. I don't even realize, I don't even know he's in there. And this is what I was saying in terms of like people that are in entertainment go to this festival, and it's no joke. Like, and then I'm coming downstairs and I just hear, Orlando, it's JP. He's like, bro, I just seen your show. I loved it. When you come back home, I got a date for you. And I came back in September. He shot me a date, and I accepted, and we went from there.
That's awesome. That's funny how you had to go all the way to Scotland to seal that deal.
It would have been dope. It would have been a doper experience if he actually seen me there and just was like, yes.
Yeah.
But I did know him prior to that. I just never met him face to face.
Yeah.
It was all like, yo, I'll send you an audio clip. And he was cool, man. JP is such a good dude. Like, he listened to the clip, send me back like pointers, like, oh, you know, because they know what audience that they, you know, they know their audience, and you know, they're trying to make you look good as best as possible. So they're helping you in material, you know.
I've never met him personally. I mean, I wouldn't even know him if he walked in right now, but like I've heard just that, like he's like just a really cool dude. And there's been some times I've tried to help a couple of people try to get a spot, and I've emailed him, and he would respond and say, hey, like he or she's not ready, I don't think, and try back later. One of those things, you know, as a comedy booker myself, I mean, I absolutely respect like anybody's opinion like that and such too. So, but yeah, so it seems like a really nice dude. So, what's next for you? You know, what's your goal after COVID? Like after, say, the world comes back and we're right back into the pocket again. Everybody's, you know, out working again. What's the goal? Like, what's your next new goal for yourself?
Well, my goal is to kind of like really take advantage of what I have. Like, I realized, like, you know, I got some teacher material that does well, and I have like this small teacher fan base that I have, like, whether it's from being on the road with Joe Coy or Whitney, or just stuff that I have on my own, like, over these years. And, you know, so now it's just kind of like to focus on that a little bit more. And I think that's what I'm doing with this Orlando Baxter and Friends. You know, that's I think that has the potential to, you know, I got some things in the works with that. So it's going to be a lot of focus on that, but still go back to what I was doing before. But eventually the goal is to like grow that. Like I really would like to grow that part of my fan base even more, and not just nationally, but also internationally as well. So that's what the focus is.
Nice, cool. Well, you gotta have goals, right?
Yeah, gotta have goals. You can't have COVID when you have these damn goals, right?
Well, it's amazing how many comedians that don't have goals. I mean, they're like, just keep slinging these jokes.
Yeah,
like, all right, man. You should write them out, or at least, you know, have the go-to list in your brain. Like, hey, this is what I want to do. Check this off the list, and you know, I mean, yeah, especially during these times now, because it's going to be twice as hard. Like once the world opens back up, everybody's going to be kicking and clawing to get a stage time wherever they can get it. You think it's hard now? You wait till everybody and their brothers like jumping back into the comedy pool. So
yeah, Because this is an opportunity too for any like part of comedy where like say like when you're in the cruise ships and you're like, we want to get younger comics in here. Like because of this COVID, they can just literally go back and be like, nah, we're not taking any of the older comics back. Or they can go the opposite order. Like, so you gotta have like some type of plan, in my opinion, that doesn't, or at least for me, that doesn't involve what I already have. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Don't assume that you're going to just pick up right where you were, right, and pick up the pieces and move on. So back in. Yeah.
So this independent thing is kind of like a part of what I want for myself. Like I want.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about the whole concept of a cruise ship can just go in and clean house and say, hey, listen, like, because I know they have their pecking orders of like of their comedians and their favorites, and especially with Carnival, I know they do a report card system that that's 5 down, and then if you don't have a certain amount, like they kind of start cutting the bottom layer down. So, I mean, those guys there was some of those guys they were all in. That's all they did was cruise ships.
I know a ton of amazing comics that are all in, and the thing is, from a financial standpoint, it makes sense because a lot of those guys are grandfathered in, or you've been long enough. The money's really good on cruise ships, especially if you've been doing it for a while and you're one of those comics that's been in there for years, like guys that were making double the amount that I'm making. So, like from a financial standpoint, they're like, let's just get you. I can see them doing that because I started seeing like, when I would talk to older comics, they're like, they're starting to let a lot more younger comics in now. You know what I mean? So, hopefully they don't do that and it goes back to normal. But, but I'm just saying, you got to be prepared,
Expect the unexpected is what I say. Yeah. So what is the all right. So going back to the virtual comedy shows, what is the we'll do 2 questions. What is the worst show you've done since March 15th? And then the best show you've done since March 15th?
Okay.
It can be virtual or live, because I know you were doing some live shows.
All right, listen, the live shows are such a luxury. Like, even when they're bad, they're better than a virtual show.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? You know what I mean? Like, because you miss the like just the fact that you're live. You know what I mean? Like, this can't be that bad regardless. I'm going in happy.
Like, all right, so how many live shows have you done? I know you did one college for me recently that was live.
I did the live. Yeah. So out of the colleges live shows I've done, I maybe done maybe about 12 since 12.
In 9 months.
Yeah, 12, which is crazy. Yo, I was
usually that'd be like a week and a half, like on a cruise ship or whatever.
I was home 90 days in 2019 total, which is insane.
Yeah.
And so to do those shows, I mean, live shows, I love the live shows. Obviously, some are better than others, but to me, the virtual shows, they're a little bit more difficult because there's more distraction. My best worst shows, my best virtual shows have been probably some of the teacher ones, just because the turnouts have been really well. And but I would say my worst ones, I had a heckler on a show, which was my own fault, because usually when I do the teaching, I can tell people are teachers because I make it one of the requirements is they have to use their school email address. So I kind of forgot that portion in the write-up thing. And so people were like sneaking on. And then there was this lady with like no teeth, and she was heckling the shit out of all the comics that were on the show. And I had to mute her, and I didn't understand that you can unmute yourself when someone mutes you. So you're playing this game of mute, unmute, mute, unmute. Like, it was the weirdest shit ever. And then finally we had to remove her, and then she tried to come back, and my cousin was like, I had her like monitoring the room, and my cousin didn't realize that she added her back in. And I was like, man, what the fuck is it? You know what I mean?
Well, there are settings that you can mute everybody and they can't unmute themselves. It's probably you probably just got to go up a layer in the price on your Zoom platform, whatever. But
So that was terrible. But there's been some Zoom shows that I like. The difficult ones are the ones where there's no audio, and everybody doesn't want to turn their video on.
Yeah, they're scared.
So just imagine, like, as a comic, like how it's impacting timing. You don't know what's going on. You're just like talking to yourself, and it's like and you're at home and you're in pajamas. Like you don't feel good about yourself after. You have no idea how it went.
You go straight and take a shower. It's like, I don't feel clean.
Yeah, let me take a hot shower and cry. But like I said, man, like I'm just grateful to be doing something, because I know there are people that are not doing much. I know people that are like, I'm not doing anything virtual, and they're just holding out to the live shows.
Yeah. Well, and what are they doing? They're working on houses or something, probably.
They're completely done with Netflix. Have you seen this Netflix? I'm like, dude, I'm trying to do something. They're done with it. They've seen everything. So,
well, it's not. It didn't surprise me that just in the last week I've gotten 2 emails. One from Hulu saying, "Hey, your Hulu Live is now going up $10 a month starting this month, and Netflix for everyone's going up another $2 starting this month as well." So I was like, that, or next month. So yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Like, they're like, "Hey, let's get more money."
Yeah, like the greed is like ridiculous, man.
Oh yeah, but what are you gonna do? You're gonna pay it because you're at home. So they know you're going to pay it. I mean, the drop-off rate, can't be more than 2 to 3%, I'm sure. So,
it's cheaper than cable. It's still 10 times cheaper than cable. So it's
absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, it's crazy, man. So, big Thanksgiving plans for you? Or are you gathering, or are you staying away from everyone?
Yeah, kind of staying away. Just like the immediate, just the people in my house, immediate family, like brothers, nieces, nephews, the people that come over all the time anyway. It'll just be, I don't know, 8 to 9 people, and then call it a day, but not the big 30 people like we normally have. So
do you have people in your family that are like freaked out, like they'll be wearing the mask and like lifting up to eat and such, or no?
Well, if they don't lift up to eat, that's weirder than not lifting up to eat. They're just trying to mash it through the mask. But no, I don't think anybody's freaked out. I've had a parent that had it. I had a nephew that had it, and they're all okay.
Okay.
But, so we've had that scare. Like, so it's not the scare of, nobody's had it yet. I hope I don't get it. Like, we've seen it. And I've had friends that had it, and they've all, thank God, been okay. So, I'm just trying not to get it. I'm trying to wait till that vaccine gets here so I can see how you're doing on episode 47.
Yeah, I don't even know how long. I said I would do this until the end of the year, and I don't even know. I don't know, man. I enjoy doing it. I kind of don't want to do it anymore once this is like a vaccine is out, just so we say, all right, I'm done to get back to my shit and do my job. I don't know, man. We'll see how long this carries out, but who knows, man. I meant to ask you too. You during all this, I know right before you did, or right after college or before, you were filming a Huckabee.
Yes.
How did that go?
That was it went well. That was a very interesting show.
Did they have a crowd in the audience?
They did have a crowd. Nobody had masks, but half of them had MAGA hats on, which was interesting for me. I was like, oh, this is different.
Not my crowd. Not my typical crowd.
Yeah, not my typical crowd. But, listen, it doesn't matter what politics you follow. I mean, everybody laughs. So, and I think that they had that mentality. So I end up having a really good time. Mike Huckabee, although we have opposing political views, really good guy. And, I had a good time. I did.
Yeah, that show's been pretty kind to comedians over the last year or so, or 2 years or so. I think it's been on, but a lot of clean comedians have been doing that. So
yeah, it's another place to get up and perform, and
another credit, another paycheck.
Yeah.
Especially during now. I was surprised when you told me that you were doing that. So
Yeah, I surprised myself when I told myself that I was doing it.
How did you get that gig? Did they reach out to you, or did you pursue that
Yeah.
one?
No, they reached out to me. I mean, like, I think I get a lot of stuff from Dry Bar. The Dry Bar is doing pretty well, like the special, and yeah. So you just pick up work from that. People can realize you can do clean comedy. It's a commodity, you know what I mean? Like that, good thing to have, and I've been lucky, So
Yeah, it's amazing how many people are, that Dry Bar set. It's just putting people on the map as far
yeah.
as and getting people to watch. So, and yeah, I mean the credits, and when was yours released? Was that
Mine was released in 2019. I think it's been like over a year, just over a year. So actually, it might have been August or September of 2019. I
okay?
shot it in April, I believe, but it got released. It might have been September. It's almost been a little over a year.
Now, did you do the 40-minute or the 20-minute set?
No, I did the 20. I think it was like 25-minute set.
Yeah.
That's what I did. So I was happy about that too. Like it was like,
Yeah, I know they switched it up. I think they kind of ran out of comedians that could do 40 minutes.
yeah.
40 minutes of clean. I mean, so I added it up the other day. I think I'm at like 92 specials that I've booked for them. I mean, so they keep reaching out and say, hey, do you have any more comedians? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, there's so many comedians, but like that I want to put my name on it, the trust that it's going to do a clean 2025. It's hard. I started picking from my local talent pool here in Charlotte. Because they're taping right now. They've been taping the last like month or so. Jesse Campbell did it again on Saturday, or Friday or Saturday. So
I didn't know that.
yeah, so she did. She originally did the 40 minutes, and then I snuck her in to do another 20-minute one. Same with Arvin Mitchell. So I was like, so I'm kind of going back to the well. Like, hey, Arvin, you want another new set on tape? So yeah,
that's insane.
Whatever works, man. So all right, man. I guess we can leave it off on that, man. That's a good note to leave it on, man. It was so good to see you, and I'm so glad you're doing so well, and navigating through here. And you're not on here crying. We haven't had anybody crying yet. So
That's good. That's good. I don't know. What do you do if somebody cries? Do you just Control Alt Delete? Do you get out? Do you exit immediately?
I don't know. When that happens, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe it's gonna be me. Maybe the first person that starts crying is me, and then just everybody's just like, oh, okay. Like,
I think it'd be hilarious if you just continue as if he's not crying or she's not crying. You just, oh yeah. So how's everything going? Like,
yeah, tell me about your worst hell gig. Come on, like you're already crying. Just jump right in and tell that one as well. Oh man, dude. So again, man, it's just so good to see you, and I'm glad you're doing well. Anything you want to plug on your end?
Yeah, just go to my website, orlandobaxter.com. And if you're a teacher out there, go check out what city I'll be doing the shows at virtually for teacher and school staff, Orlando Baxter and Friends. And yeah, check me out on Instagram, School Tales on IG, Tuesdays at 7. And yeah, that's about it.
Awesome, man. Well, if anybody's out there watching and or listening later on the podcast, if you need a comedian for anything, feel free to go to summitcomedy.com. You can book Orlando directly through the site there. And Orlando, peace out, man. Have a great Thanksgiving. Everybody else, have a great Thanksgiving. Be safe. Don't eat too much. All right. Later.
Bye.